So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to invite you to stand as we prepare for the arrival of the President of Guyana.
You see, I can't see well. You seeing? How it looking?
Thank you. Please be seated. Your Excellency, Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Senior Minister within the Office of the President with responsibility for finance and the public service, Dr. Ashni Singh, Minister of Education, Priya Manik Chand, Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, and other cabinet members, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Dr. Jaime Saavedra, Director of Human Development for Latin America and the Caribbean of the World Bank Group President Representative Diletta Doretti, and other members of the World Bank team, University of Guyana's Vice-Chancellor, Professor Paloma Mohamed Martin, Deputy Vice-Chancellors, Professor Emmanuel Cummings, Dr. Melissa Eiffel, Dr. Dianna Gobin, and other members of UG's management team, Dean of the College of Medical Sciences, Dr. Cecil Boston, and other UG staff, PS, Education and Tourism, CEO and other education officials, former Health Minister Barry Ramsaran, DG, CMO, CEO, and other health officials, Director for the Medical School, Dr. David Samaru, and other heads of agencies and departments, Project Coordinator Patrick John, students, ladies and gentlemen present, and of course those tuned in virtually. Good afternoon and welcome to the commissioning of the new College of Medical Sciences building here at Sir Shradat Ramphal Drive, UG Turkine campus. Can we give ourselves a round of applause? It is a milestone for the government of Guyana and the University of Guyana. Always a pleasure returning to my alma mater, as I'm sure for all of you. And we assure you there's nothing to be suspicious about, given today and all, we are all April friends. And this building is going to be a powerful symbol of Guyana's commitment to producing healthcare professionals who are not only equipped with the latest knowledge and technologies, but also driven by a deep sense of purpose to serve their country. By 2040, this university aims to produce at least one graduate per household, ensuring that the future of our nation is in the hands of a highly educated, skilled, and empowered population. I now invite Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Academic Engagement, Professor Emmanuel Cummings, for the welcome and overview.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Good afternoon, everyone. His Excellency, Dr. Mohamed Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Honorable Minister of Finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, Honorary Minister of Education, Ms. Priyamani Chan, Dr. Frank Anthony, Minister of Health, Mr. James Saavedra, World Bank Director for Human Development for Latin America and the Caribbean, Vice-Chancellor, Professor Paloma Martin, Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Education, Chief Education Officer, Chief Medical Officer, CEO of the Georgetown Public Hospital, members of the University of Guyana Council, members of the University of Guyana Senior Management Committee, Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences, Dr. Cecil Boston, Registrar of the University, Director of the School of Medicine, former Director, Dr. Aaron, current Director, Dr. David Samaru, and other directors. Mr. Patrick John, Coordinator of the World Bank Project, special welcome to you. Other special invitees, staff, students of the School of Medicine and the College of Medical Sciences, other members of the University Committee, Academic Committee, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon once again, and a special welcome to all of you. It is great satisfaction that I sincerely bid you welcome, an extraordinary welcome I would wish to say, to the commissioning of the new College of Medical Sciences building. This historic event is taking place at a time when our countries experience life-changing transformation. It also is coming at a time when the University of Guyana is celebrating its 62nd year since its establishment, the 46th year since the establishment of the Faculty of Health Sciences and now College of Medical Sciences, and the 40th year since the establishment of the University of Guyana School of Medicine. What a celebration today. It is the culmination of hard work and visionary leadership. Indeed, even as we commissioned this building today, it has been a long but focused and committed journey. I was given 10 years to speak, but I want 10 minutes to speak, right? Right? But it has been more than a 10-long project, so it's a minute per year, right? But it's very difficult, Your Excellency, and I will try my best to stick to the 10 minutes. On this historic day, the annals of the University of Guyana will record a quantum leap in the delivery of medical education at the university. I want to take us back to the conceptualization of this project. How did we get to this point? And how did all of this happen? As I give you some inserts with respect to the overview. It was Eleanor Roosevelt who said, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." A dream doesn't become a reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. And that is exactly what happened within the last 10 to 11 years as we celebrate this project today. I want to take us back to the period 2013-2015. It was a period when I was on my sabbatical, resting and enjoying vacation. Well, sabbatical, you're not supposed to be on vacation, but at least you have some time to, right? But of course, you're off from regular work, right? And what happened during that period? because I wanted to put us in the context as to what we are celebrating here today as I look at the overview. So while I was on sabbatical, the MBBS program, which is a flagship program in the college and the flagship program in the university, would have lost its accreditation. The then Vice-Chancellor called me, said, Dr. Cummings, you need to suspend your sabbatical and come back to work. And I so did, without additional cost to the university. A special meeting was called by the faculty board, and I was re-elected as the third term as dean. And he said to me, Dr. Cummings, the MBBS program needs to regain its accreditation. And so I started a brainstorming exercise myself, Dr. Aaron and Dr. Boston, at the time who was assistant dean. And we had several discussions as to what are some of the things that we needed to do to ensure that we can regain and secure the accreditation of the MBBS program. Most of the issues that we would have had to do with physical resources. So one morning, I was sitting in my office, and I overheard a conversation, and I recognized a voice. World Bank representative, that voice was Mrs. Hong Yu. She was previously involved in a project here with the University of Guyana, so I knew her from a previous engagement. So I did recognize her voice. And I said to her, Hong Yu, can I have a conversation with you? How can the World Bank be involved in the reaccreditation process of the MBBS program? She said, what do you want? I said to her, I need a building. She said, send me the CAMHP report, which I did. Right. So I did send her that 2013 CAMHP report. By the way, I want to let you know that the MBBS program got its first accreditation between 2008 and 2009. So when I sent her the report, I never heard from her again. Then sometime I got a document from the then Vice-Chancellor, said this has to do something with the World Bank. And I said to him, it's about accreditation. That's what I said to him. And so the report was sent, and I want to tell you that some areas of strength, I wouldn't go the entire report, and what the report said, that our medical students are highly motivated, committed to the school, and appreciative of their education. The faculty are highly motivated to teach, and the interaction with students is excellent. The Georgetown Public Hospital, Robbie, continues to provide excellent clerkship. Those were the areas of strength. What were the areas of weakness? Among the areas of weakness involved need for investment in faculty development. And what we did, and so when I talk to the project itself, I will tell you what the response to that. There was need for major review of the curriculum of the MBS program. There were inadequate laboratory resources, classroom space. One of the things that was missing was a skills lab, a dedicated anatomy lab, and a research lab. These were areas that need improvement. That is what the CAMHP report would have said. I'm saying all of this to say that the World Bank program was designed to satisfy and to correct those deficiencies. And that is what we're celebrating. Now, the discussion that took place, there were many, many discussions, and I must say myself and Dr. Aaron, I'm happy to see Dr. Aaron here, former medical director. We attended most of those discussions at the World Bank, Ministry of Education, and including on March Day, when persons were marching, we were there in the World Bank negotiating this loan, myself and Dr. Aaron. Now, so after all of these discussions, the project found its way, Minister of Education, into the Guyana Education Sector Improvement Project. It found its way there, which has two components. One component, and I'm sure the Minister will speak about that, I want to take, right? Teacher training, national assessment capacity, but I want to focus on component 2, which we are celebrating here today. And component 2 spoke about after, remember this is what came out of the CAMHP report. And we approached the World Bank, and the World Bank is trying, and is say, look, these are the things that they can help us with, not just about the building. It's not just about the physical resources, but there are other weaknesses which they will also help us to correct. And so, component 2 of this program speak about strengthening the health sciences, University of Guyana, now the College of Medical Sciences, establishment of a student performance assessment system for the University of Guyana School of Medicine. And component 2 spoke about the design and construction of a new Faculty of Health Sciences building and acquisition of the associate furniture and equipment. Those were the components. So it wasn't just about the building. There are other elements because, as we said, the background, and I'm sure the medical students are listening, that part of it, the main focus, was to ensure that the University of Guyana School of Medicine regains and retain. By the way, we just had a site visit and we got 4 years accreditation. So it's currently a fully accredited program. So the component 1, which speaks about student performance assessment, and so we hired Professor Strasser, specialist in medical education from Canada, Australia, New Zealand. She traversed all of those areas delivering medical education. And she helped us develop an assessment blueprint strategy and the introduction of ExamSoft. And that's why in the ExamSoft came about. And all of this was initially funded by the World Bank. And also the training that all of the lecturers would have received for the use of ExamSoft is all part of the World Bank project. In addition to that, the other aspect to do with faculty development, 40 lecturers were trained through a program to the University of Michigan in teaching and assessment. The component 2, I'll go back to component 2, which has to do with design and construction of the Faculty of Sciences building and acquisition of associate furniture and equipment. Just to tell you that when the designing took place, and of course there was a firm from Bulgaria that won the contract, and there were several discussions. As I said, he started Kenita Waldron first as the coordinator with Hong Yu, and Hong Yu was very much involved in those discussions. And later on, we had Mr. Patrick John, which I'll speak about later, and his significant role in bringing this project to completion. And so it also involved Ian Marafit. He's an architect from Trinidad and Tobago that was also with the World Bank. So there was a high technical team support in terms of EPA, environmental sciences, and all the implications with respect to the successful completion of this project of itself. So, and the questions, in every meeting we would have go to, and I'm certain Dr. Aaron recall, and they would say, Dr. Cummings, what is the main thing we need in this building? And I would say, as a skills lab. There's one lab, it must be a skills lab. And I'm certain you will see the skills lab today, fully furnished and equipped skills lab. And what is the purpose of a skills lab? A skills lab in a medical school is a dedicated, stimulated environment where students practice clinical skills on mannequins or models before interacting with real patients, Your Excellency, to ensure safe and effective learning. And that's an important component of this project, which we negotiated very strongly with the World Bank. The other important component was the anatomy lab, because any medical school, if you want to secure and maintain accreditation, there are 2 labs you must have. You must have a skills lab, and you must have an anatomy. We did have an anatomy lab, but of course it needed enhancement. You'll see a very modernized and very up-to-date anatomy lab. An anatomy lab is critical for hands-on learning of human anatomy through dissection, allowing students to explore and understand the body structures in detail. These are medical students. And so these were the anatomy lab and the skills lab, Your Excellency, were critical to this project. If we didn't get anything else, if we could have settled for the anatomy lab and the skill, but we got more, right? We got more. We got a biochemistry lab, right? We got a biochemistry lab, and of course, in medical education, students in their basic sciences years are grounded in the basic sciences. They're introduced to research. They are introduced to the molecular understanding of medicine, the molecular basis of diseases. And the biochemistry lab will ensure that they have that kind of exposure. Remember, we're trying to ensure that the program maintains its accreditation and has worldwide recognition. Also, we got a microbiology lab, which is crucial for hands-on learning and developing expertise in diagnosing and treating infectious diseases. We see the effects of climate change. We see new emerging infectious diseases, Minister. And so we want to ensure that our students, during their primordial years, during their basic sciences years, have the kind of exposure in microbiology and all the basic sciences so that prepares them for their clinical training. And of course, the research lab, which is critical. You know, and the annual CAMHP report, there's a section in research. Each of the lectures have to submit to, as part of the annual questionnaire. I didn't see Dr. Gobin here, who's played an important role in ensuring that these reports are up to date. We have to make a report on the number of research and so we have a research lab. I want to also say, even though it's for medicine, but it also provide as a platform for other programs within the entire College of Medical Sciences. The other important component is the students' common room, which is very characteristic of medical education. This is a shared space within a medical school or hospital. So, Robbie, we'd also need a common room at the hospital, right? So we have one here, we'll need to get one in the hospital as well, right? A medical school or hospital where students can socialize, relax, study, and recharge. Medical education is top of the line, and so we have to ensure that their social needs, so they don't have any mental health issues, right? Right? And also have the, and if you look at the standards, the CAMHP standards, there's a significant part that speaks, particularly the section that deals with students, speaks to the facilities that promotes social interaction among students. In addition to all of this, all of the classrooms, when the entire project is completed, are coming fully furnished with multimedia projectors. There is a lecture theater with 200 students, capacity of 200 students, and classrooms. There are 7 classrooms that can accommodate 50 to 60 students each. I must say the original project was supposed to be a 3-story building. The total fund for this project, Minister of Finance, $6.9 million US. That's the cost of the entire project. But of course, with time from 2013 and so many years, depreciation, increase in costs, and so what you're seeing today is a 2-story building. But the original, because on the top floor would have had online, and I'm happy that the president is here, so maybe he'll give us that 3rd floor at some time in the future. On the top floor, where because remember, because we're trying to maintain the accreditation, we also would want to ensure accreditation of other programs, Minister, within the college. And so it was meant to have 100-seater library, e-library, so students would have had access, individual access. And there we would have delivered ExamSoft examination we now have to use. But with the commission of this building, ExamSoft examination can be delivered right here. And so, we are here today. There are a number of persons who would have contributed. I did make mention to a number of them. The President, His Excellency, the government, the Minister of Education. Thank you for making this component that benefits us here as part of the education sector developmental project. component 2. Minister of Finance, you know, there were several discussions that involved Mr. Balgobin, and I was wondering why Mr. Balgobin, at one time we nearly lose the project, you know. We had to take a break. Dr. Aaron will tell you. We're there negotiating, and there was something which that the university had to do, and I must say this project traversed 3 Vice-Chancellors. It started with Professor Badei, Professor Griffith, and now Professor Mohamed. And so it was Professor Griffith at the time, and there was some sort of thing the university, I wouldn't say what the university had to do, and the Vice-Chancellor said he was not going to do that. And I called him and said, Vice-Chancellor, are you crazy? Right? Are you crazy? I said that to him, are you crazy? This project value more than what the university has to contribute. And so we took a 2-hour break, because if we hadn't agreed, we would have lost the project. There would have been no celebration today. And so I said to him, he wrote the letter, we got the letter within an hour, and we sent that letter to Mr. Balgobin, and that's why we are here. So thank you, Mr. Balgobin, and the entire staff from the Ministry of Health, the World Bank, Ms. Hong Yu. When Mr. John told me we were going to have this commission, and I said to the World Bank team, can we bring Mrs. Hong Yu? Mr. Robbie Rambaran, who participated in the initial discussion with respect to managing the project, Professor Sarah Strasser, Vice-Chancellor Griffith, Mohamed, and Upadei, the 2 deans with traverse this project, myself and now Dean Boston, 3 medical directors, Dr. Aaron, Dr. Samaru, and who's the other one? And Dr. Gobin. All right? Those were the 3. The 2 coordinators, Kenita Waldron, and now Patrick John, who basically lived on the campus for the last 14 months. And Patrick would, give a big hand for Mr. Patrick John. And Patrick John would message me on Sundays and Mondays and holidays, on Pagwa Day, on Christmas Day. Anytime I would have gotten a message from Mr. John. And we want to thank him for his dedication and for all that he would have done so that we can have this commissioning ceremony today, Mr. Patrick John. And of course, initially, Mrs. Kenita Waldron, who was the first coordinator. The designer team from Bulgaria, Ian Marafit, Devin Monroe, who an engineer who participated initially, the permanent secretary, for ensuring that we signed that contract. And she wouldn't tell you, I spent 3 hours waiting on the contractor to come with the Ministry of Education, ensure that we signed the contract that day, because we wanted to start the project in December. We had missed that time because the project would come to the end on the 30th of April. The University of Guyana Task Force, for those several meetings that we would have had, I want to identify Mr. Davon Van Veen, Dr. Van Veen, for the important role he would have played, and all of the others, the maintenance division, the IT section, but the security, OHAS, but for occupational health and safety, for providing guidance to the contractors, ensuring that there were no casualties, done in a way that is safe and professional. The supervisory consultant, the contractor from Shandong High Speed Dijon Group and Company, thank you very much for giving us such a wonderful building. See the gentleman there. And everyone who would have contributed. And finally, GPL for ensure that we have lights. That by itself was also a very long discussion, and water. And so that's a summary. There are tons and tons of documents which we have because of the time given. You asked me to speak for 10 minutes for an 11-year discussion, but thank you very much. And the history is written. The medical school will be better produced, better positioned to deliver quality education. Our doctors have already demonstrated that, and with this enhanced facility here, we'll be better prepared to prepare doctors to work for the Minister of Health. We know he is, I don't want to take over his speech, but certainly he needs a lot of doctors with all that is taking place. Well, UG is here ready to provide you with those doctors and other healthcare workers that you need. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Cummings. He promised us a minute for each year in the decade, and we know it's your baby. The building is your baby, and with every good mother, the Honorable Minister of Education has graciously given her time to you, so she won't be speaking this afternoon because, of course, all of the details you provided in that overview was necessary for a full understanding of what this project means. Someone who I know will not overstay her time because she taught me, and I know she manages her time well. Please welcome the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Guyana, Professor Paloma Mohamed Martin.
That is a well-taken hint, Michelle. Good afternoon, Excellency, Honorable Ministers, members of the World Bank team, members of my own Senior Management Committee. Two sets of speakers before me have gone through very lengthy protocols, so I won't go through them except to stand on the protocols that have already been established. Teamwork makes the dream work. And today we are experiencing a dream that might have started out, you've heard, at times like a nightmare, and then corrected itself today. So although I stand here alone, I stand in the company of unseen thousands. Staff, students, alumni, their parents, trusted partners, friends, and well-wishers. I stand to extend the appreciation on behalf of the University's Council. Thank you, Minister, for ensuring that we now have a council. The senior management team, of course, His Excellency first. This one who we have here now with us, we thank you for your time. As well as the World Bank representative, director, and others, Jaime Saavedra. This project is the culmination of decades of long needs fulfilled. And though it is our privilege to see it through in its final phase to fruition, there are many, many people, as you've already heard, to thank. Going all the way back, I'm told, by Professor Cummings, to a Guyanese on the World Bank called Richard, ending the name Charles, to a former president we fondly call BJ. And there's another story that a faculty member in this university speaks about, a woman called Professor Paulette Bino, who suggests that the College of Medical Sciences stole the project from the Faculty of Earth and Environmental Sciences. So we thank Paulette also. Vice-Chancellor Carrington, who was just before Professor Obadei. So you see, this has been a really, really long, long journey. It's taken us about 10 years to design, redesign, and adjust the requirements. Changes have been made, new programs have been added. And in the last 5 years, we expanded our numbers, adding 1,000 students overall a year. One of the only universities in this region to have done that. And it's a slow march to fulfilling the university's first blueprint aspirational goal of at least one graduate per household. Mr. President, when you had just become president, I don't know if you remember this, when we were commissioning the Yesu Prasad building, Yesu Prasad was alive. We spoke of the heartache of so many students who apply to our medical school every year. Students that we tell, if you work hard, you do well, and you have the grades, this country is going to support your dreams. And then when they would have applied with the grades, we would have had to say to about 2/3 of them, we're sorry, you've made the grade, but we can't take you. We don't have the space. I believe that you, Mr. President, Minister, everybody in this country who holds a position would have had calls from parents begging, crying, students who have indicated they would do anything to get into the medical school. And now, even though we still can't take every single person who can apply, I'm happy to say that this building today allows us to take in about 40% more students in the medical school than we have been able to take. Along with that, as you know, this year we begin the first year after a long time of free tuition at the university. And the medical school, of course, has the most expensive programs in the university. So each student this year will get, by the time they would have graduated, at least $6 million from the government of this country, because medical school costs at this university, not anywhere else. Everywhere else it costs about 5 times the amount, about $1 million a year. So there is a double gift this afternoon. Not only do you have a beautiful, well-equipped, modern building, but you also have the opportunity of coming to a university in which the state is going to fund you that much money going forward. And so, to whom much is given, a whole lot more is expected. Last night, I was told, while I was here, and I'd like to thank the members of the Ministry of Finance, the team that is working on this, the Ministry of Education's team, including the PS and her entire team, directed, of course, by the Minister herself, the team from the University of Guyana, who has been sleeping here, Mr. Dr. Davon Van Veen, and all others, and of course the inimitable Mr. John, who has minded this project like a baby for the last 18 months. Last night I had to part a fight, not a physical one, a verbal one, but we know that all physical fights begin with verbal ones. And what was that fight about? This building behind here, this tall 3-story building, is allegedly supposed to be vacated when they move to their fancy new building. And others have been eyeing the building and planning to move in. And last night we were told that no, we have to get even more space because we are missing a floor from this building, and therefore we need to keep the old building. And so, as Vice-Chancellor, I have the job of always publicly begging on behalf of my colleagues. And so while I say thank you, I want to also indicate that while we lost one floor, we would hope that we'll be able to get a few more projects going. We still need 3 vital labs and classrooms and offices for a new dental clinic. The building is state-of-the-art. It is the most state-of-the-art building on the campus. It boasts not only labs, but a beautiful lecture theater, which you'll soon see, classrooms, chill spots for students, unheard of in this university, and it's very lovely. I understand somebody's trying to take it as their office. Not going to happen. Students, I'm alerting you, it's yours. But also its own treatment plant. This is one of the most important features. It has its own water treatment plant because the treatment plant is required to treat all of the chemicals and biological wastes that hitherto would be saved in barrels around the campus. And one of the PS was saying to me a couple days ago that they used to avoid one of the buildings when they were on campus 10 years ago because they were bodies, cadavers stored in those bottles. So that's not going to happen anymore. This building has its own power plant. It has touchless entry into labs, so with your fingerprints, biometric touchless labs. It also has what is going to be the envy of most people in the university, most other departments. It has touchless lavatories. So the students can clap, yes, but we are really delighted, not only because there are touchless lavatories in this building, but because it gives our students and our custodial staff who have worked really hard an opportunity to be distant from, hazards. And so we hope that we will be able to see a project where the rest of the university is enjoying touchless labs, because I think it's in this day and age and in the state our country is in, the wonderful state, we can do better. Thank you very much. I'm not done, but one more page. I want to give a special thanks to certain persons in the offices of the Minister of Education herself, Minister of Finance. I've also already spoke about Mr. John, P.S. Autar, Finance Secretary. We've talked about Mr. Bagobin. There's Sanjay Nirupa. We've talked about Davon Van Veen, Pat Wong, Mr. Porter and our custodial staff, media, and all those who have been here for a long time. But Professor Emmanuel Cummings deserves a special place of mention here, because he has doggedly, for many, many decades, insisted that this project was an important one. And there have been times, if you could imagine him in tears, I'm not going to tell tales out of school, but not the whole tale, just a piece, right? If you could imagine Professor in tears over this project, he has been in tears at least on 2 occasions in the last 10 years, where he's saying, what's wrong with people? Why can't we get this project done? So, Professor, thank you for your love, your dedication, and your absolute commitment to making sure you drove a team that made this happen. Thank you. So this single structure brings together in perfect synergy all the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of thousands across time, space, and disciplines. Our purpose is fueled by sacrifice and promise. Our dreams were too powerful to be denied. The work of the school and the university too impactful and critical to be unsupported. Those who enter these doors as hopefuls leave accomplished and burnished. They are rough diamonds to shine and make their mark, one patient at a time. This is not a destiny for the faint-hearted. Health professionals seldom, if ever, become afterthoughts. So, to the hundreds who didn't have this much, but persevered and served anyway, this is a realization of part of your homes, your hopes, and your dreams. To those hundreds who are here now, remember how fortunate you are, not only for these gifts, but also the state of our beautiful country, who is now paying your fees. We hope that you'll remember and pay it back for one well-cared patient at a time. To those of you who are coming, we're opening our applications process at midnight tonight. We didn't want to do it on All Fools Day in case people thought we were joking. So tomorrow, April 2nd, our applications for no new free tuition opens. Those of you who are coming, we will be privileged. You will be ever so fortunate, perhaps the most fortunate generation that this nation has ever seen. But to those to whom much is given, I remind you, much is expected. To everyone here and not here, seen and unseen, sung and unsung, anyone who had a role, great or small, in making today's decades-old dream a reality, thank you, thank you, thank you. May all who venture through these doors emerge enlarged, to go forth and do good work, and to bless each patient as we have been so blessed today. Thank you all. God bless you, and may God bless and protect our beloved country forever.
Thank you, VC. Yes, indeed. For those students watching and listening, the wait is over. As VC said, applications open after midnight. You can choose from 9 academic units or 10 research institutes. Attending UG now, it's quite flexible. Study options, face-to-face, blended, online, free tuition, cutting-edge technologies. As VC said, the most fortunate generation to be studying at the University of Guyana. And now, we'll have a student impact statement. I invite Jotham. He's a fourth-year med student and president of the UG Medical Students Association. He's going to be followed by Nikhil Sankar, also a fourth-year med student and a student faculty rep for the college. He's got a poem that's going to situate this milestone into the overall context of what's happening in Guyana. So first, Jotham, then Nikhil.
Let me begin by thanking the Master of Ceremonies for that warm introduction. I'll just notate this time to just observe protocol. And honoring the presence of Your Excellency, Ministers of Government, World Bank executives, administrators of the University of Guyana, esteemed guests, and most of all, my fellow students, good afternoon to you all. It is with immense gratitude and pride that I stand here today on behalf of the student body, particularly within the College of Medical Sciences, a college that today celebrates not only the opening of a new building, but the strengthening of our legacy. This year, it marks 40 years since the establishment of the School of Medicine at the University of Guyana. That simply means it's been 4 decades of shaping minds, molding hearts that have gone on to serve the nation, the region, and the world at large. The new College of Medical Sciences building, which now houses not only medicine, but nursing, dentistry, medical technology, allied health, physiotherapy, medical imaging, it's not just a structure, but it's also a promise. It's a promise that future generations of healthcare professionals will be trained in an environment that fosters innovation, interpersonal and professional collaboration, and a clinical experience. A space where we can not just prepare for exams, but eventually we will be able to impact lives. As UGMSA president, I speak truly from the heartbeat of the students. For many years, we have navigated the rigors of medical training in spaces that have long outgrown their capacity. And this new building, this new facility, is not just a building, but it's a bold investment in us. It says that every student walking through these doors, we matter, our education matters, and our future matters. Not only just to the patients that we would eventually care for, but the communities that we will touch and eventually one day we will lead. As the late Dr. Yusuf Prasad once said, I quote, "Education is the key that opens every door, and once you have that key, nothing at all can stop you." End quote. Today, with this new facility, we've been handed more than just keys to a building, but we've been given keys to better resources, closer collaboration amongst disciplines, and more space to breathe, to think, to even dance when we're tired, and also to grow. It breaks down the silos between our programs and builds bridges for our professions, because the future of a healthcare team is always based on people and innovation that drives us. The impact in our nation right now is very profound. Guyana is at a crucial juncture, and in its development, the health sector expands to meet the growing needs. So too must the training of the workforce, which we can see here today with the beautiful building. This investment ensures that tomorrow's doctors, nurses, dentists, lab technicians, and allied health professionals are ready, not just in skill, but in heart and in spirit. It's no coincidence that the motto of UGMSA is birthed from the School of Medicine, United in Training to Care. This building is a physical embodiment of that motto. It unites our disciplines, our efforts, and our hopes, all to serve a healthier and stronger Guyana. To the government of Guyana, to the university's leadership, and to our development partners, World Bank, thank you for believing in the power of education and in the capacity of young people to shape the nation's future. Please, can we give them a round of clinical supervisors, thank you not just for shaping us in knowledge, but also in character. Your mentorship remains the cornerstone of our development. To my fellow students, let us rise to the moment as we now have a new building. We have no excuses, so let us study to show ourselves approved, but also to strive. Let us remember that the stethoscope, the scalpel, the microscope, and dental mirror is a tool of prestige, but the instruments are also tools of purpose. Let's honor this investment in us with dedication, with discipline, and with heart. Because the future of healthcare in Guyana isn't somewhere out there, it is right here, and it starts right now with us. As the proverb says, 1111 dotty, as the proverb says. Thank you very much. As the proverb says, 11 dotty builder. And today, we have another layer of that building for the future of Guyana. So, may this building stand for generations to come, where our children's children will have a home of healing, a house of learning, and a birthplace of legacy. Thank you all.
All protocols observed. So the story of Guyana is one of resilience, of a people who have endured, struggled, and triumphed. From the sacrifices of our ancestors to the strides we take today, as seen here, our journey continues. Now this poem is a tribute to where we have come from and to where we are headed. This is Motherland. Warm breeze from the Atlantic, from that 5:30 magic, caresses my face like a long-lost beloved. The mind now flutters like a kiskadee, with questions, oh questions. How far have we come? How far will we go in this country that we call Guyana? Golden rays, they emanate. The sun sets upon the quarantine, marking the end of one day, melting into tomorrow. I walk a free man on these lush grasslands because of Bole, Badri, and Govinde, because of Kofi and Akrabe. Their bodies lie the ground which we now walk upon. Their blood filled the river, so we can be free. Immortality they have now attained. As we tell their stories, continue their struggles, as we build this country that we call Guyana. Here we go on the banks of Demerara, bursting with faces and factories and shops. But what better way to romanticize life than gazing at glistening Georgetown at night? But tell me now, what about the forefathers? Their names the stuff of legend, their stories a source of strength. As we stand here now, today, in this very moment, for Brother Kwamina, for Brother Gladstone, this is who we are, building love, hope, and unity. Here is where we stand as one people, one nation, one destiny. Our laughs and our cheers, they now pack cricket stands as we put aside anger, put aside conflict, and celebrate holding hands. From the mighty Roraima to the majesty of Kaichor, to the simple grace and elegance of the hibiscus and the water lilies. I close my eyes and for a moment I take in the divinity and I hold my breath. Now is the time, my friends. We stand here for all eternity, firm, resolute, our voices echoing into infinity. This is our land. This is our home. Berbice, Demerara, and Essequibo, all of it belongs to all of us. Every single square inch, every drop of water, and every blade of grass. This is who we are. This is my home, our motherland, this country, our beloved one Guyana. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikhil and Jotham. Let's give them another round of applause. I think our next speaker was really fascinated with that particular poem, giving him a taste of where he is. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, this is the opening ceremony of the College of Medical Sciences building, taking place here at UG Turkine campus. And we now prepare for our next speaker, Dr. Jaime Saavedra, Director of Human Development for Latin America and the Caribbean at the World Bank, a former Minister of Education in Peru. And while you're based in Washington, Dr. Jaime, I'm sure being here is giving you the Andes vibes. Already we can see the weather is doing well. You look so well. Please warmly welcome Dr. Jaime Saavedra for remarks.
Never go after a poem in a program. It's going to be challenging. Honorable President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, Honorable Ashni Singh, Minister of Finance, Honorable Dr. Frank Anthony, Minister of Health, Honorable Priya Manishant, Minister of Education, Vice-Chancellor, Professor Martin, Dr. Emmanuel Cummings, students of the University of Guyana, and honored guests. It is an honor for me to stand before you today at this landmark moment. Today, as we commission the new Faculty of Health Sciences at the University of Guyana, we're not merely inaugurating a state-of-the-art facility, we are inaugurating a vibrant hub of learning, discovery, and innovation that is integral to building human capital in Guyana. This facility symbolizes the country and the government's relentless commitment to advance health and education, and it serves as a powerful testament to the transformative investments that drive our shared vision for a prosperous future for Guyana. This project, supported by the World Bank and very well described by Dr. Cummings, has addressed long-standing challenges on infrastructure. Today, we build modern training spaces, advanced laboratories, and flexible multi-purpose areas that even accommodate massive open online courses. These developments are essential to elevate teaching quality to global standards. But investing in infrastructure, in equipment and technology, despite being absolutely critical, it's not the most important element in the formative years of those who will embrace the medical profession. As in all education experiences, what is the most important thing is the human factor, is the people who are here. That underscores the importance of the investments that are being made here on medical training and education. Education is about the interaction between a teacher and a professor and a student, and that interaction is where the magic of learning happens. And in this case, what is learned is not only the scientific and medical knowledge, but what's learned is how to care for a patient, a person who can be in a vulnerable moment of his life. The challenges we face training the next generation of doctors and health professionals have profound implications, not just for the medical profession, but for the health and well-being of all our population. There are several challenges here, and one challenge is balancing technological advancement with humanistic care. Guyana is already investing in sophisticated technology with an artificial intelligence for diagnostic and treatment planning, as the Minister of Health was explaining to me today. Technology that will allow to reach people in the most remote areas of the countries. Today's medical students must learn to leverage that technology while preserving the essential human connection that lies at the heart of healing. Another challenge is that we need to deal with the changing nature of disease. As chronic conditions become most prevalent, we must shift from acute care model to one that pays attention to preventive and primary care, something that is already happening. Today's medical students need to understand that complex interaction between socioeconomic factors, lifestyle, and health outcomes. But perhaps the most challenging issue is the cultivation of resilience in future doctors and future health professionals. Medical education and the medical practice is demanding. They both are demanding, both intellectually and emotionally. The pressures of clinical responsibility, coupled with witnessing suffering and death, and the need to be compassionate, all places huge demand on health professionals, and they must be prepared for that. Medical doctors' training has a fundamental impact in the welfare of society and in the welfare of each one of us. Investing in this building and in the faculty that will work in this building is investing in the practitioners that will take care of the health and well-being of society, is invested in our human capital, is invested in our people. Now, as a direct result of the investments of the Guyanese government that we are celebrating today, the capacity of the health sciences lecturers at the University of Guyana has significantly been strengthened. Modern medical education methodologies have been adopted. A new student performance and evaluation system designed to meet both national and international norms has been implemented. And all these have paved the way for the regional accreditation by the Caribbean Accreditation Authority for Medicine, now granted for the period 2024-2028. This accreditation, bolstered by the World Bank commitment, not only confirms the government of Guyana's renewed dedication to excellence, but also sets the stage for an increase in enrollment that was mentioned by the Vice-Chancellor. We need more health professionals trained at world-class standards, and we need them today. We need them urgently, because as we speak in this moment, there is someone already waiting for better healthcare. I extend my sincere thanks to all stakeholders, to the President of this nation, to the Ministers of Finance, of Education, of Health, the university authorities, our project implementation unit staff, especially, and has been named already, Project Coordinator Patrick John, whose exemplary leadership and dedication kept this project on track amid challenges. I want to thank all the university community, our international partners, and of course our World Bank team, Vincent Perrault, Lauren Marston, our representative Diletta Doretti, Hubert Forrester, and all of them for their collaborative spirit and the for this transformative journey. The World Bank remains steadfast in its commitment to supporting the government of Guyana's mission to deliver world-class education that meets current needs and anticipated future challenges. Let me finish by saying that the stakes could not be higher. The doctors that we train today will shape healthcare for decades to come. But today, a new chapter in the history of the medical profession in Guyana is beginning. A new chapter that not only will allow a great university to be more effective in educating future health professionals, but that it will allow the citizens of this country to be more prosperous, healthier, and happier. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saavedra. Indeed, as we look to the future, ladies and gentlemen, we know that healthcare is an essential pillar of national prosperity, and Guyana has made considerable strides in improving public health. The UN 2022 report noted systematic interventions in health, SDG 3, including full COVID-19 vaccinations of 70% of the adult population, have helped Guyana set its sight on SDG achievement. With that, I'd like now to invite the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, for remarks.
His Excellency, Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, my colleagues in the Cabinet, Dr. Ashley Singh, Ms. Priya Manik Chan, Vice-Chancellor of the University of Guyana, Dr. Martin, Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Cummins, the Director for Latin American Human Capital, Mr. Jaime Savendra, and all the faculty who are here from the University of Guyana, the team from the World Bank, and of course, the students who are here. First of all, allow me to congratulate the University of Guyana on this milestone, and also the the Ministry of Education on this milestone of being at the point where we can now open this facility. I think it was about 1 year and 3 months ago that myself and Minister Manichan, along with the Vice-Chancellor and Deputy Vice-Chancellor, we were here and we turned the sod for the opening of this facility. And I think when they told me that they will be doing this in record time, I had my own doubts. But we've seen that they have been able to deliver at least this part of the project on time. This project, as we heard from Dr. Cummins, had a very long history, going back from 2013, and then they nearly lost the project because generally with World Bank projects, you have a 5-year cycle. And I think they must have had some negotiations to be able to extend this project because it was so important that if we didn't have this particular building, then maybe we would not have gotten that extension for the next 4 years from CAMHP. So this is extremely important for the country and for the continuation of medical education. I recall when we were here at the Turning that Dr. Samaru, who is now the director of the college, making a speech, and he said then that in 1985, when they started, that the students were, I would paraphrase him a bit, I think the students were a bit nomadic because they had to move from site to site trying to get a space where they can study. And he was among the first set of students that this university brought into its medical college. And at the time when they couldn't find space here on the campus, they had to go across to Guyana so that they can get their classroom space there and somebody would work with them. And then not so long ago, I joined the faculty here for a little bit. And I recall when we had to teach on weekends, that sometimes you had to go looking for a classroom and you had to go search for keys, you had to come open the door, and many times things were not ready. And so it makes learning a little bit more difficult. So I'm extremely happy that we have made such progress where the College of Medicine and the students would no longer have to be nomadic, but they will have a place where they can call their own home. And for that, I think we deserve to give them a big round of applause for that. When this college started in 1985, it had a lot of big aspirations about being able to train our doctors locally. But I think at that time, a lot of the people who had the qualifications to get in, they were a bit skeptical. So the intake was maybe 8 to 10. Then over the years, we have been able to move that up to about 40. And I think currently we take in about 40 to 60 people, 65 every year. But one of the constraining factors too, while they have constraints with classroom space, I think one of the constraining factors, and this is one of the things that CAMHP would look at, is that you have to also have enough beds in the hospitals so that the students can go and do practical sessions in the hospital. And if you don't have those beds, then it's going to be problematic. So the base for this university has always been the Georgetown Hospital. And we have given priority to the University of Guyana and the students who come to us. There are many other students who are at the Georgetown Hospital, but we always give priority to the university. That is going to change in terms of hospital beds, because as some of you know, that the government has embarked on I would say a revolution in healthcare. And over the last couple of years, what we have been focusing on is building new hospitals so that we can deliver world-class quality care closer to where people are living. And if you think about that, and that's something that the president has repeated over and over again in many of his presentations on health, or generally when he's speaking, it's something that he's extremely passionate about. And I think the first time when people heard him say this, they were thinking that maybe that's a lot of talk. But we have seen that not only has he spoken about making this world-class healthcare health system, but has also made sure that we have the investments to be able to deliver this. And this year, we would be opening 6 new hospitals in this country. That has never been done at any time in our history. And those hospitals, one is going to be at Lima on the Essequibo Coast, another one at Dekendron in Region 3, another one at Diamond here in Region 4, another one at Enmore on the East Coast, one at Bath in Region 5, and one at number 75. And for each of these hospitals, we will now have 75 beds. So when we are talking to CAMHP about where we can place our students, we'll have enough beds in these 6 regional facilities. So beds should no longer be a problem, and that should not be a constraining factor in terms of the amount of students that we recruit to our program. And I believe if we're at 65 now, we can double that. I think we can get easy to, more than 120, because we need the medical workforce to power what we want to do in healthcare. And therefore, we don't have the luxury of time to wait and go through these kinds of traditional ways of taking in a few people, then, we see and then we teach. We have to think about scale here. And we have to scale up what we are doing to train doctors. While we focus on opening the 6 hospitals in the next couple of months, we are also in the process of building other hospitals. So we have one at Ogle that would be built, and by next year we are commissioning that. That's 252 beds. That's a specialized maternal and pediatric hospital. We have another one, a general hospital that would be at New Amsterdam. That's 220 beds. We have another one that would be in West Demerara, 220 beds. And of course, we're not leaving out the interior. So we're building smaller hospitals, 50 beds each, at Maruka, Keto, and Lethem. And we are also looking at Bartica and Camarang so that we can improve these facilities. So there'll be no excuse about wanting beds, because we'll have quality beds in world-class facility. And just to tell you, because some of the things that we're putting in some of these hospitals, we will have at these regional ones, basically now if you have to get a CT scan, you will have to go either to the Georgetown Hospital or you have to go to the private sector. Every one of these new facilities would now have their own CT scan, and that would be free of cost to the patient. Every one of these hospitals would have 3 operating theaters. So if students need to go and see how operations are done, that can be possible. And we have, in terms of x-rays and imaging, we have a separate viewing room where students can be taught about x-rays and imaging and so forth. And I heard the Vice-Chancellor talking about some of the upscale facilities that you have here. But also, when you come to these new hospitals, they're no longer open wards. You don't have any open wards anymore. So what you will have is that 5 patients per room, and in that room, you will have your own toilet and bath. And to get into the facility, to get into the room, you will have to get your card key so that you put it on the lock, and then you'll be able to get in. So that too would be wireless or keyless, if you like. So these are some of the things that would be there. So when we talk about scaling up and improving, these are the types of things that you will have, not in some long distant future, but almost in the next couple of months. So we would really like to see a scale up in the amount of persons that you're admitting. So maybe when you open that portal tonight, maybe we can take in more than the one. We can take about 120 and even look for more, because I think that is important. And I just want to give you maybe some context here. With all that we are doing, one of the challenges that we anticipate we would have was in nursing. And if we were just training at the same level that our nursing schools can accommodate, because our fixed nursing schools, we have one in Georgetown, one in Linden, and one in New Amsterdam, and their combined output was 220 persons per year, and that's a 3-year program. So that's not going to help us to fill the needs that we have. And so we have decided to move to a hybrid platform, and right now we have close to 3,000 nurses that are in training. We have some at the level of nursing assistants, and we have those that are registered nurses. They would take 3 years, but most of them now are in the 2nd year, and we have a new batch that we are taking in. But this year, this month, we'll be graduating 800 nursing assistants that would be going into these facilities to work. So we can't wait, you know, to go through these things in the normal way. If we do that, we would not be able to fulfill our needs. We have to be innovative. And we have to utilize the technologies that are at our disposal to make sure that we can upskill people very quickly and bring them into the workforce. So I was listening very carefully to Dr. Cummins and some of the things that he was talking about. And the classrooms, the skill labs, and so forth, I think those are really good things. But we also, looking at training, we thought that if we're going to train people on a hybrid platform, then we also have to have simulation labs or skill labs. And in the last year, we have been able to make 9 such skill labs. And the nurses that are being trained would go there and get their practicals. So if we really want to do this, there are ways and means in which we can get this done. And that's where we have to collaborate to ensure that these things are done in a timely manner so our students can benefit. When you think about what you want to do with your labs, and I know you mentioned some of the labs that you will have here, biochemistry, microB, the research lab. You also have to partner with us, because in the Ministry of Health, we have invested in some of the most advanced labs, not only in Guyana, but I would say the most advanced labs in the Caribbean. Let's take the pathology lab that we currently have at the Georgetown Hospital. That pathology lab, with the help of the World Bank, because in the COVID project that we had with the World Bank, we took $2.5 million and we invested in that lab. And that lab today is perhaps one of the best labs in the Caribbean. And here is what we can do now. We are able, in the first instance, it was taking us 3 months. 3 months when a sample come into the lab for us to give them back a result. And if somebody is waiting to know whether they have cancer or not, 3 months is a very, very long time. We have changed that from 3 months to 3 days. And that's the turnaround time that this lab is being able to give us. But apart from that, if someone is diagnosed with breast cancer, in the past we would be content to know that this is cancerous. Now there are differential diagnoses that you can make, And we are able to do at least 14 histochemistry tests in this lab so that we can differentiate different types of markers, cancers, and a whole host of things. Last year, I was with a team that went on a European tour to look at advanced facilities that they have. And I went to a reference lab in Europe, in Belgium. And when we went there, they were very proud to show us some of the equipment that they have. And they were the reference lab for the whole of Europe. And when I said to them that the equipment that they have now, we have the most updated version of those equipment, that's the kind of lab that we are talking about at the Georgetown Hospital. So the students here, they can come there and they'll be able to benefit from that type of laboratory understanding, teaching, and so forth. And not only that, when we take a slide and we put it under the microscope, we can take a high resolution image and we can send it to any part in the world for a second opinion or a consultation. And they would have the ability to zoom in and to see the finest things that are there and be able to give us that second opinion. So you don't have to build everything. What you need to do is to partner with us to make sure that your students are exposed to some of these technologies that we have. And that's one area. In the National Public Health Reference Lab, we have started because the direction in which medicine is going to go is moving from a one-size-fits-all to a more personalized type of medicine. And for us to make that paradigm shift, one of the things that we'll have to do is to make sure that we are able to do things like gene sequencing and so forth. We have started doing this because of COVID. When COVID started, we didn't have the capacity to be able to do that. But now we can sequence any virus that is circulating in the country, and we can determine whether it has a mutation, it doesn't have a mutation. We are able to do that. And that's because we have partnerships with a number of academic institutions in the US and other places. This particular sequencer, we were able to work with a team out of Harvard, and they train our people to be able to do this. As we move forward, we want to move from just doing the regular type of surveillance to doing molecular surveillance. And our labs, now we are building it to have that capacity to be able to do molecular surveillance. We are also going to upgrade the lab, the National Public Health Reference Lab, to ensure that it's a level 3 lab. So here again, your students would be able to come in and be able to have that experience at a level 3 lab. So there are lots of things that we'll be able to do together. And then just recently, we have just passed, well, we had a tender that was out for a new food and drug laboratory that would be based here at the University of Guyana. And that's a big investment because we also want to be able to be maybe the lab for the Caribbean in terms of food and drug. And we see this as a prerequisite so that we can build out a life science industry in Guyana. So we are making that investment. And again, once we put that down, when we build that lab, that is something that we will want your students to be exposed to. So there are lots of interesting things that are happening in health. And what we used to think of health, we now have to train our students in a different way in how to be able to deliver health care in this new and modern era. And that brings me to digital health. Because again, in the next couple of months, the Georgetown Hospital would have electronic health records. And that's something you'll have to work with. So future students coming out of the university no longer have to scribble something. They'll have to be able to work with digital health records. We have to deliver telemedicine. So we have to understand how these technologies work. And again, they can come in and do a lot of these practical stints with us. So I think as we look at these new ways of delivering, we'll have to perhaps look at the curriculum and to ensure that some of these newer things that we're doing would be included in that curriculum, including the use of artificial intelligence in health, because that's something that we are also doing. So today, I see this as a very important milestone, not just in the history of the development of this medical school, and now it's called a medical college, but I also see it as a march that we have started a long time ago. Because when people did not have a vision for a university, in 1963, that vision was birthed by a man called Dr. Chetty Jagan. And this university is his brainchild. And we need to remind the younger generation where this all started. And when it was started, I think a lot of people did not have a lot of hope about where this was going. Because at the time we could have easily gone to the University of the West Indies. But I remember in one of those early speeches, the reason he gave why he didn't want to go to the University of the West Indies was that to send one person to train at the University of the West Indies, it was going to cost us so much money that we could have trained maybe 20 to 30 persons locally. And that was a vision that he had, and today we are seeing this vision being crystallized. And one of the other things that he kept repeating to our population, because he was very big on education, and the investments over the years of successive PPP governments would have always been in education, whether it's nursery schools, primary schools, secondary schools, the University of Guyana. There was a time in this country's history when most people only had access to primary education. You couldn't have secondary education because your parents could not afford secondary education. The PPP governments in years gone by ensure that those investments were made so that we can improve education across this country. And this university is part of that legacy. And the saying that he used to have is that when he go out to meetings and talk to people, he would always say to them that your ticket out of poverty is through a good education. And we have lived to see that this university is able now to deliver on that vision of giving a good education. And I hope that the college also would be able to do that as we move forward in the 21st century. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Frank Anthony. Now, don't go getting sick unnecessarily to experience that self-contained hospital room with keyless access and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to now have a steel pan rendition. I know that Dr. Jaime enjoyed the performance earlier, so we wanted to give you another taste of who we are, this time on the steel pan, Dr. Jaime. And performing for us this afternoon is the UGSS president, also the winner of the UG's Got Talent. She is also a talent ambassador, a second-year student in the Faculty of Social Sciences, playing on the steel pan, Oh Beautiful Guyana, made popular by Hilton Hemmerding. This is Tirishata Semple. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Tirashata, for that lovely steel pan rendition. And for the benefit of our guest this afternoon, shall we sing the last line of the performance that Tirashata was just playing for us in the steel pan? I know all of you are very talented and gifted with your... Please join VC in singing the last line so our guest hears what's the last line in the song. Let's go again. Okay, all right. I know we promised you we'll wrap up by 4 o'clock, right? That's all right. Let's do it one more time so Dr. Jaime hears the words of that particular, the last line in that song. Oh, beautiful Guyana. You got that, Dr. Jaime? It's, oh, I love thee. Oh, we definitely love this beautiful country of ours where remarkable strides are being made in education, in healthcare, and of course, this means that national prosperity, all of this will go hand in hand. May I now ask you to please stand as we invite for the keynote address His Excellency, Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana.
Thank you very much. Please have your seats. Members of the Cabinet, any member of the diplomatic community? Yes, I know we have at least one member. Vice-Chancellor and other staff of the university, our visiting guests, students, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It gives me great honor to make a few remarks. You have heard a lot already on this very important occasion. You know, listening to everything that was said so far and listening to the time lapse and time lag in the project cycle, one would ask many different questions, because our friend from the World Bank would tell you that time lags in projects signify different things, either a lack of vision or an uncertain vision, a lack of preparation or underperformance. And when we look at this project cycle, you can determine for yourself what category of performance can be ascribed to the project portfolio pipeline. So the project was conceptualized in 2013. A lot of work was done in 2013. The project was more or less ready by the time we went into the new government. It took us until 2017 to have the project loan agreement signed. It took us until 2017 to have the project loan signed. When I assumed office, I asked all the ministers to do a review of everything within the portfolio, within the pipeline, and everything that we would have left in 2015. Astonishingly, when Minister Manichan came to me and said that this building is still not started, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This building is not started as yet. Unfortunately, we were in the period of COVID at the same time. And many countries were negotiating with the World Bank the reassignment of resources to COVID programs. We were one of the only countries, and the World Bank and IDB will tell you this, who kept our portfolio intact whilst at the same time investing in COVID and developing one of the best COVID response systems here regionally and internationally. When we did that, we were able to keep this project on track. And in what I would say historic time, we rescheduled the implementation timeline. We went on accelerated negotiations, had the project signed and completed, and here we are today. That is the project timeline, and it's important for us to understand that. It's a difficult subject that some will try to avoid. But leadership is about responsibility. Leadership is about ownership. Leadership is about responsibility and ownership. And unless we demonstrate ownership and responsibility, we will not get the successes that we are getting. But I want to say to the Vice-Chancellor and to Dr. Cummings that a vision is not a centralized vision. We've already discussed this. The vision is how do we take the services of the university in key and critical areas out to every single region in our country. And that is why already the New Amsterdam Hospital will be a teaching hospital, and that will have the capability and capacity to graduate at least 200 students and to take in 200 students. We've already expanded the School of Nursing, not only to Region 10, Region 6, Region 2, but we're looking to further expand this as the Guyana Digital School comes into operation. Outside of these investments, we have about what, 3,000 students studying nursing and assistant nursing on the Coursera platform. We're negotiating with Mount Sinai in joining their research and education platform so that our students, our doctors can do specialized program on their platform. This is what an integrated education and world-class education and healthcare system must look like, and we're making those investments. Outside of that, Dr. Anthony spoke about the labs, the incubators. But of course, we know the world is advancing at a tremendous pace. And we will also have to have labs that allow our students to learn robotics, AI, using robotic arms to do surgery. Otherwise, you will not be able to function in the new healthcare system that the world is adopting to. And already, in our program for the next 5 years, we have placed this as an important priority. One significant simulator investment here for students to have access to the latest and most cutting-edge technology. But we are not stopping there. We are looking now to partner with incubators at Silicon Valley, new startups, looking at their technology and to see how we can work with them in their technology in deploying it on a global scale. One of the things today, I spoke about it a few times now, is a new imaging technology that would replace CT scans and a need for high-intensity radiation and radiation. That is where the world is going. And that is a space in which we want to operate. That is a space in which we want to apply our development strategy. Innovation, AI, digitization, all must be integrated into every single thing we're doing here at the university and in our national development plans and programs. So I want to say that it is significant to also note that as I stand before you today, more than $13 billion will be invested in this university to ensure that the children would have this free education here. That is $13 billion. And if you do the calculation, the Vice-Chancellor was doing it for the medical student. But that is a subsidized rate. If you have to go to a regional institution, it's maybe 5-6 times that. So you're starting life as a doctor. If you have to do it at UE, let's say, over the 4 or 5 years period, that's about 30 million, about 150,000 US dollars. Investment, upfront investment, the country is making in you. For dentistry, for new pharmacists, all of these things. Sometimes we don't look at these things. The value that we're giving to the next generation of Guyanese. The investment we're making. So that you would not only get a quality, and this is a prime example. Many times when you graduate to free university education, most times the capital investment comes down. So that you look at giving the bare minimum, the minimum standard. But this is an example that we are giving free education, but at the maximum standard. That we're going to invest in the highest standards, the maximum standards. So we're not cutting costs or cutting corners to deliver that free education. We want to prepare and produce students who are world class in every field. The same we're doing for engineering. I was calling for a Vice-Chancellor a few days ago when I was in Essequibo. She was doing a presentation somewhere to discuss our plans for engineering. How do we integrate the technical institutes that we're investing billions of dollars in to the curriculum of the university, so the credit transfers is integrated and it's a smooth transition. All of these things are key. All of these things are key. If we have our nurses, our doctors, our lab technicians all studying and enjoying the same level of service and the same facilities, then you're training them to work together. In medicine, you have to work together. You have to understand the environment. And they're all learning in this new environment that would allow them to take this into their career. And that used to be the complaint of many developed countries. In the developed countries, a doctor would not go automatically into their system because they would argue that you've graduated from a platform that does not give you the excellence that we give to our students. But here is it that we are giving the same and even higher level in many instances, a higher platform, so that our students will be globally competitive. And I'm sure that with the investment in these facilities, we now have to go for additional certification, not be happy with what we have alone. But that additional certification, because eventually we will have to make more investments. You're talking about 1 additional floor. We may have to make 9, 10 additional floors. Because if we are to deliver and make education a cornerstone for economic value, and looking at it as part of the economic diversification of the country, we already said education and health will be part of that diversification. And we do it right, and we have the certification, then we can very well be one of the largest international providers of medical education globally. And that is where we want to go. That is exactly where we want to go. We're not stopping short. This is not compartmental thinking. This is about a huge vision. This is about understanding where we want the country to be positioned. Not only to deliver excellent health care to patients, but to be part of research. to make it part of our economic modeling. Look at Grenada and St. George's University. The possibilities here are enormous. So for our students, we will be investing in facilities in the different regions. But at the main campus here, we may very well say that in the medium-term strategy, we will invest, once we get the certification, in a facility for global intake. We already have regional intake here, a facility for global intake. And we have to be strategic in what areas we want to have global intake. The key areas of manpower shortage globally. In the medical sciences, almost every area. Pilots. Pilots in the aviation sector and in the marine sector. Not just engineers. Not just engineers. But which areas of specialization? What is the target area? Those are the things that we are working on in the next 5 years. The medical school, medical college now must be able to produce high quality papers. Must be able to be part of an international network in which we can punch pound for pound, in which we can position ourselves as a leader. So these investments are not just another piece of investment. We're investing in the best because there is a vision behind it. There is a strategy behind it. I can say the same for agriculture. We are now building world-class simulators, intelligence centers, data centers, not only for Guyana, but for the region, to support food production with data, with science. So today, it's about celebrating an accomplishment that should have come much longer. But also to position that celebration in the context of our national development, in the context of what is the end game. Thinking without innovation and leading without an innovative mindset is just marking time in the modern world. Most successful industries, countries, and corporations are those that took bold steps, made strategic decisions, important decisions. Strategic decisions are useless if they are not made in a timely and implemented in a timely manner. Because by the time you implement it, it was strategic for that period of time. So we are mindful of all the opportunities that are ahead of us. My government has made it very clear that education must be accessible to all. That is why we have taken bold steps to provide tuition-free education at the University of Guyana. No student should be denied the right to education because of financial constraints. No student should also be denied the right to tertiary education because of geography or the financial means to attend classes. These are the things that we are fixing. These are the things that we're investing in. The Minister of Education is already working, and I know she would have spoken to the Teachers Training College and the university to see how we can not only train all our teachers, because we have started that, but more importantly, How do we develop a regionally attractive program to have regional students? That is why the Guyana Digital School will be opened up for the region, so that the true integration of the region will be realized through the Guyana Digital School. Because students across every island in the region, every country in the region will be studying on the same platform, sharing experiences on the same platform. That is the power of integration. And that is what technology enables. So we may very well say that we have invested because we said that our prosperity must lead to regional prosperity. We have invested in the Teachers Training College and University. We want to develop specialized degree programs for teachers throughout the region. Does not make sense for every small economy to make the same investment. So how about if we work with our international partners in making this the training ground for all our teachers regionally, and doing so using technology as the backbone. So you lose your teachers from the classroom. This is the future we are talking about. Building a world-class healthcare and education system. So I know you've been sitting a very long time and you listened to a lot of speeches. I just wanted to be very direct in letting everyone understand that this is part of a much larger vision. Be very direct in saying that the brutal truth. It took us to come back in government after conceptualizing this project to get it done. And that's okay, because that's our responsibility. So, Dr. Cummings, it was very important that you emphasize that history. But we must also be bold enough to say what the facts are. And the facts is, as I told you, project conceptualized. We came out of government and we had to come back to finish it. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We will now move to the ribbon cutting and unveiling of the plaque and tour of the new Medical Sciences building. It is going to be done in batches. Dr. Devon Van Veen will assist with the tour. Anyone going in the building will be required to wear shoe covers to maintain both personal safety and lab cleanliness. I now invite President Ali, the ministers, VC, DVC, our World Bank officials, Patrick, and some of our med students now for this part of the program. And while this takes place, Damien Lane, a third-year student in the Faculty of Natural Sciences, is going to blow on the saxophone.